Eryk, welcome back. And as Neil said, congrats. What was it like playing with the men's national team in the Gold Cup, the whole experience? Just how would you rate the whole thing, and how does it feel to be back in Portland?
It was an experience. I haven't experienced before, obviously, but it's one of those that, it's good for my career. It's good to, play in a competitive tournament, not only with Portland, but at the international level. I think was big for me. It's always an honor to represent your country at any level, but most importantly at the senior level. So that was the kind of the biggest takeaway for me. But it just kind of gave me like bubble vibes of just being there for a month, knowing that we were going to be there for the full month. So it's just kind of locking in from the beginning and knowing what it's going to take to not only beat Mexico but to win the tournament and in that matter.
Next, we'll go to Nick Krupke.
Eryk, congrats. Obviously, the big Michael Jordan gift about a year ago, and you're left off the squad. To sitting on that stage with the confetti and the trophy, and you had the medal in your mouth. What runs through your mind in a moment like that?
It was just kind of taking it all in, looking at everyone in the crowd, having, my mom, my brother there, families and friends that I grew up playing with. It was just kind of like a surreal moment, looking at a stadium like that, 61,000 with all those fans, a lot of them being Mexican. It was a lot of, Mexican supporters looking at it as kind of not in disappointment, but just kind of upset that we had won. And it's just kind of, it was a good feeling that, we were able to beat our rivals, being able to, win a trophy that, a lot of people were saying, it was a B team, but, showing that we can go out and we can compete and we can be a team that is hard to play against, hard to beat at, whether it's, guys coming from Europe or guys within this league. So I think it was one that, was surreal. The picture spoke for itself. It was just kind of me, looking around, just kind of, just taking it all in. I don't even know where my head was at that point, but it was just, such a good feeling.
Next, we'll go to Kyle Pennell.
Hi, Eryk. Congratulations again. Part of that experience you mentioned just in the first question, of course, being on that stage, but also playing alongside a lot of talented younger players your age in the U.S. player pool with a majority in Major League Soccer. I'm just curious what it was like playing alongside of players or being in a group just so similar in age and with similar ambitions to yourself, fighting for a place in qualifying. And even just as far as the atmosphere goes, what was that like for you? And with it being a national team setting, was there a player that, for whatever reason, you really enjoyed getting the opportunity to play with, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I think, there was a lot to the group. We had guys who had over, 50 caps, guys like Zardes, guys like, Kellen Acosta, all these guys who have been in and around the national team. And then you have guys, like Gianluca Busio and, George Bello and some of these younger guys that, you're not used to, not only playing with, but sharing a field with, because I've played with some of these guys at the U20 level, but once you get to the senior level, it kind of all wipes away. Your age doesn't really mean anything at that point. You're just one of the 23 players. So it was a good experience to play with them. It was definitely different for me to have younger guys, step up to the roles that they did. Busio, played phenomenal throughout the whole tournament, and being able to see him play and being able to see him grow as a player with the national team, but also, take the next step in his career as well. But I think, going to one player I enjoyed sharing the field with, I think the biggest two for me were, Kellen Acosta, just seeing, the grit, how technical, everything he's done, not only this last year, but, throughout his career. He's won multiple trophies with the national team, winning Nations League, starting the Nations League final to starting in the Gold Cup final. But also Zardes. Zardes is one you watch growing up. He has such a signature, face and hairstyle and style as a whole that, I've never met him until this camp. And, sharing a table with him, I got to know him, his family, and seeing the way he works on the field, off the field is just, phenomenal. And there's a reason why he's been as successful as he's been.
Next, we'll go to Tyler Tachman.
Hey, Eryk, I hope you're doing well. I know the Michael Jordan meme was mentioned, but how much of being left off that Olympic qualifying team kind of motivate you in this past month playing at the international stage?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me. That meme was, wasn't directed at anyone. It was just kind of my overall feeling. And that was my biggest thing was knowing that it was self-motivation. I think it was the right time to use it. And I think it's aged well. I took things personally and made sure I was a better person on and off the field. And, being able to step up and play in a Gold Cup final after being left off the roster, it was just shows that, everyone's timeline isn't the same. Being there with a Jackson Ewell who made it to Olympic qualifying, him being in the same place that I am and with the Gold Cup. So it's just, it just meant a lot that I was able to take this next step and make this roster, but, ultimately winning this trophy.
Next, we'll go to Jose Del Castillo.
Hey, congratulations, Eryk, and for La Grande. Since the beginning of the MLS, it's been quite a discussion of which league is better, Liga MX or MLS. Winning the Gold Cup, what does it mean to that discussion? What's your take about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can compare the two. I think it's a fair argument to say that they're both at the same level. You see guys coming to our team, coming to teams within the league and succeeding. And you also, may or may not see the same the other way around. You look at some of the guys we played against. I know that there was, comments about our midfield versus Mexico's midfield. And, not only are our midfielders all in the MLS, but their midfielders are in Europe and playing in some big clubs there. So I think it speaks not only to the level of Liga MX, but also the level of the MLS.
We'll go to Pike Parker.
Eryk, what can you take away from your experience with the U.S. team as you come back to Portland, and what's the plan for you this week? Do you know?
Yeah, I think the plan is just kind of getting back in with the team. Hoping to suit up tomorrow and try and get some minutes tomorrow, because I know it's just back to work here. We haven't gotten the results that we've wanted these past weeks, but it's one of those that we're finally coming together as everyone's coming back from international duty and injuries. That it's just exciting times for me to come back, but I think within the club, everyone's excited to finally be full strength again, and that's the biggest thing for me. And I think me personally, it's just kind of taking what I've learned there, whether it's the system, what it takes to win cup games or those kind of things, and just kind of incorporating it into my play here in the MLS, and knowing that we have a busy bunch of schedules coming up, and just making sure my body's in the best spot possible to get going.
Go back to Kyle Pennell.
Eryk, on the field, off the field, whether it be in Kansas City, Austin, Vegas, is there anything that you'll especially remember kind of getting this opportunity and continuing to build on that? Is there anything that just comes to mind that you'll remember down the line to either motivate you or just as a special memory for you over the past month?
No, I think it was kind of a situation I was a little used to of, not playing as much as I wanted to with this team, and just knowing that going on training is kind of, the time to show what I have. And I think I was able to put myself in a good position to start the final. Ultimately, it was Greg's decision to do so, but I wanted to make it challenging on him, and I wanted to challenge myself to make sure that I was fighting every day in training, that I was letting him know that this is where I want to be, this is what the next step in my career is, and I need to continue to work to be at this point. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from the whole thing. I think off the field, we got a lot of downtime. It was a lot of times spending with new faces that I hadn't really met before, and making new friends that now guys like Nico Gioacchini going back to France. It's one of those where I'm trying to convince him to come to the MLS so I can see him a little more, little things like that. So it's just building friendships, building, relationships off the field, and then just the, on the field stuff of making sure it was challenging for Greg.
We'll go back to Tyler Tatchman.
Yeah, Eryk, do you have any favorite memories from watching the national team growing up? And I mean, where did kind of the aspirations to play for the national team start for you?
Yeah, I think it just ironically was the same game that, I tweeted and that I had shown that I was at, the El Salvador US game. Eddie Johnson comes in and his first touch is, a strong header into the back of the net. He runs to the camera and, I think he put his face in the camera. And it's one of those where I'm like, wow, blonde hair at the time. And like, I just really want to get to that stage. And I think, 2 years later, I joined DC United's academy and Eddie Johnson was there. And it was kind of the only guy I wanted to meet, the only guy I wanted to talk to. And it's one of those that he was able to represent the U.S. a lot at the international stage, and his swagger, his like the way he played, I really admired growing up. So, and I just knew one day, I wanted to be there.
Do you have any last questions for Eryk? All right. Oh, and we'll do one more with Tyler Tatchman.
Yeah, Eryk, what's just, I guess, the last kind of 48 hours been for you? Like, I mean, when did you come back to Portland, and kind of how are you feeling physically right now?
Physically, I feel great. We had a lot of quick turnarounds in camp where we played Thursday, Sunday, and we knew that everyone had to be ready. So, whether we trained hard the next day or we did the running after the game, we knew what the recovery was going to be like. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, was making sure I was in a great spot physically to, come back and potentially suit up tomorrow. I know that it's a conversation that is potentially being had, but it's also knowing that we have another game this weekend. So I have to, take it on myself to make sure I'm in the best spot possible. But then also at the same time, I think the last 48 hours have just kind of been surreal, getting from all the, congratulation messages to, my mom now trying to come out to Portland to see a game. It's just kind of, a lot going on, but it's good to finally be back in Portland, have, a few weeks here where I can finally, settle down and kind of get back in a routine again. So I think that's just the biggest thing for me, and just getting excited for this stretch of games we have.